know that this is your and your dad's favorite steak, and this is also my favorite steak too.
It is. You know what? It's funny. Probably, I'll just give you a quick story. About, I guess, 3 months ago, we were down the shore, as we so often do in the summertime, and it's, you know, places just like your family does and my family does. We often all gather together, and I have 3 sisters, and my youngest sister, Jenna, who you and her look very alike.
We're good looking friends in the family.
Right. She was like, I never had a ribeye before. What you know, what's the, why do people love ribeye so much? You never had a ribeye.
She never had a ribeye.
Tara, not Jenna. And she's like, I never had a ribeye. I don't know, I just don't know if I really like it. And I'm like, how have you never had a ribeye before? So we cooked her one for lunch. And needless to say, she's always been a filet girl, like always loved fillets. Well, needless to say, we cooked her one of these, and she is obsessed with it now. And every time we cook steak, she wants a ribeye steak, right? Because it's packed with flavor. If you love a tenderloin, I get it. It's very tender. You know, it's a great steak, don't get me wrong. We sell many of those steaks. But the ribeye is my favorite because of just how flavorful it is.
Exactly, and going along with that, I can totally appreciate that because filet was always my #1 steak of choice, but there is something about these Rastelli Black Angus ribeyes. They are so marbled and they are so flavorful. They eat like butter. Like, they have become my favorite because even though the filet is super tender, like, these are just so flavorful. And we have them available to you tonight in a 6 or a 12 count, and that is item number M80201. That is our Rastelli's 6 9-ounce black ribeye steaks. Sorry, Black Angus ribeye steaks. Right. And they're going to be available to you for 5 easy payments of $23.80. Or if you want to go for the 12 count, they're available to you for 5 easy payments of $39.80.
Right.
I think you're saving what, like $39.
Right.
With these.
You are.
And these 5 easy payments go away at the end of the day.
They do. So Lauren, I'm going to jump into the raw meat.
Yes, let's walk us through, like, what is the ribeye? Where does it come from? Like, what makes it so special? And, like, why is it such an amazing steak to eat?
Absolutely. If you don't mind, throw another one of them on the
let me grab
I want to sear it off a little bit more. But again, while you're doing that, I want to walk everybody through what makes the ribeye so special and what makes our Rastelli ribeye so special. So we start with a all Black Angus beef, what we call prime rib, right?
And here's the animals, right?
It comes from these beautiful open pastures. You see all those beautiful Black Angus steer, right? They're free grazing, clean water, clean air, beautiful sunshine, and ultimately that's reflected in what you're going to have as this experience. Then we get this piece of meat here. This is a whole Black Angus ribeye with the bone on it and all the fat. Typically, the way you would buy it at the grocery store is like this, or maybe they would take the bones off, but you would have all this heavy fat, all the stuff that you don't want to eat on it. What we do here, and what separates ours, #1 is the quality, but it's also the way in which we handle it. We take all that heavy fat, all that bone that's underneath, all of that we take off, right? You're not going to get that from us, nor do the great chefs and steakhouses around the country. They don't want to deal with all that. They want just the center cut Black Angus prime rib, and that's what you're going to get here. What we do is then we cut them down into these beautiful 10-ounce steaks for you, and each one is going to be individually vacuum packaged and then blast frozen to lock in all that flavor.
Right, that is, sorry to interrupt you, that is a huge steak, right? This is a 9-ounce steak. This is so massive. You could definitely take this, cut it in half, and serve it to two people. I would never be able to eat this whole thing.
Lauren, you know what? We actually like to call them like ribeye fillets. We'll take it like this.
Oh, this is cool.
And we just cut them into a little round. Now you have a round ribeye fillet, right? Just like that. That's a 4.5-ounce portion. So, you know, if your appetite's not as hearty as maybe, you know, a David-sized steak would be, you can definitely cut it in half.
I'm actually going to steal this, and I have a little.
Oh yeah, please do that.
Blackened ribeye over here.
Yes. Great. So, to jump into the steaks. The reason everybody loves a ribeye steak is because of how tender, but also how flavorful it is. When you have a steak that you can cut with a fork, and it looks like this.
So tender.
It is just so incredibly tender, so flavorful, so moist but more importantly, it's just packed with steak flavor, right? When you look, I mean, look at that steak.
It smells
Right.
so
It
good. And
smells
it looks
so good.
And I love the fact that it's like
just
all of our
pulls
products,
apart.
it's like super trimmed, right? So you're not getting any
Right.
waste for this. Like traditionally, like when I would go to a grocery store, you see the ribeye, and there's always like the fat kernel and stuff around that you're not eating.
Right.
And with this you're eating it from end to end. So you're getting
You
9
are.
ounces of edible.
You are. So again, we just kind of took 2 of these steaks, right? And I cut them 2 times, so long ways and lengthways. But there's a beautiful dinner for 2 with just 1 steak. So whether you want to start with that whole steak because you are really hungry, or you want to go ahead and cut it in half, you can't go wrong. This is the ribeye. You know, many folks love a ribeye when they go to a steakhouse just because the amount of flavor that comes with this steak. But also, we're going to give you that beautiful Rastelli signature seasoning, right? Sprinkle some of that on top. When you start with a great steak, specifically a ribeye steak like this, you don't need a lot with it, right? You don't need to cover it in steak sauce and all those other things because the steak should speak for itself. And that's what this steak does. So we just gave you that beautiful Rastelli seasoning, which is kind of just the perfect amount of, you know, sea salt, black pepper, garlic, kind of a little bit Italian steakhouse
And like
twist.
what I love about the ribeye is like the ribeye is the star. Like to your point, it doesn't need anything else honestly besides just some of our Rastelli steak seasoning and for you to cook it and serve it with your favorite vegetable because it is a Black Angus product. It comes from small Midwestern family farms. These are farmers that we've had relationships with. My uncle and my father have known them for 40 plus years. And that's why we're able to bring you such an incredible quality product because it all goes back to using the best, knowing your source, knowing where your product comes from. And that's why these Rastelli ribeyes these are one of my favorite items.
They are. They really are. And Lauren, these are kind of cooked to like, you know, rare medium temperature, but they're still so tender, so flavorful. It's all about starting with the right piece of meat. And we start with Black Angus, you know, cattle that come from the corn belt of our country, which is South Dakota to, you know, Colorado. That whole region is known for bringing the very best beef in the United States to market. And ultimately, those are the farmers that we've been doing business with for just many, many, many years. Exactly. And we know they consistently, each and every time, are going to deliver us a steak that our guests and our chefs are going to absolutely love.
And because of that, it's super flavorful. So, Ray, like I want to show you what we're doing right here. I'm actually making like a blackened ribeye. So this is sorry about that. Yeah. So we've taken our ribeye steak and we've just put it through some of our seasoning, and I'm just sauteing this right now in our cast iron skillet. And I'm going to plate it in a minute, and I'm going to top it with something super special. So you'll have to stay tuned to see what we're about to do here.
Absolutely. It's amazing what the right knife can do. Always recommend a serrated knife with a steak. It just cuts it so much better. But this is cooked to about perfect medium. This is the way I love eating it. Just take that steak. One of the things you're going to want to do, a lot of people don't do this. They're always in a rush to eat their steak before, you know, it's actually rested. When you get that steak, each one of them is going to come to your house just like this, individually vacuum packaged, right? And blast frozen. You can see how beautiful red this piece of meat is. That's because we froze it at the peak of its freshness. We cut it, we vacuum packaged it, we suck out all that air, and then we blast freeze it just like this.
And look, you can see the marbling in this steak, right? So you know that this is going to eat incredible. You're going to be able to eat this from end to end. It's going to be so flavorful and so juicy, and there's no excess fat on it. It's truly an amazing eating experience.
It is, but when you get that at home, you're going to want to either put it in your refrigerator and let it thaw out overnight, which you can do, or you can just run it under cold water. If you're in a pinch, pop it in the sink, run under cold water, and 15 to 20 minutes later, it's ready to go. But, big but, before you cook it, you're going to want to get that steak to room temperature. Open it up, take it out of the package, let it sit on a dish, on your countertop, and yes, let it get to room temperature, then cook it, right? And after it's done being cooked, you're gonna wanna let it rest for at least about 5 to 7 minutes off of the grill on the plate before you serve it. That's what the chefs do. That's what makes
really
this steak so much better. It is.
And you know what, I'm always like in a rush and I'm always starving and I wanna just like jump right in and eating, but it really makes such a difference. Like Ray said, when you let the steak rest, it continues to cook it just a little bit longer to get it to that perfect internal temperature.
Oh, it really does. So, again, every one of them individually vacuum packaged. This is actually my favorite part of the ribeye. I love the outside.
So good. And they also come with our cooking guide, right?
They do, yes.
So these all come with our official meat and poultry cooking guide. This is a staple in my kitchen. I know it's a staple in all of your kitchens. We have so many great recipe ideas in here. And not only that, we actually have like our beef wellness table. So if you're not sure like what exactly
that's great.
is the right temperature to cook it to, you can reference it right here on this page. If you have a meat thermometer, or if you're newer to cooking steak, I definitely recommend using the thermometer so you get it to the temperature that you like it to.
You know, we talked earlier about the, which item were we doing? The burger, putting a burger on top of salad, right? If you want to, and you know, you can absolutely do that. The burgers are great salad topper, really easy to cook, that ribeye burger. But this is just a little bit kicked up above that. So these are the beautiful Black Angus ribeye steaks. You could take them after it's cooked, and again, these cook really quickly. And I cooked this one actually more like well done. That's kind of the way I would like to eat on a salad, because when I cut it in the fajita strips, it's still so tender, even though it's well done. But again, you could take those strips just like this, and again, this is only half of a ribeye. Put it in a Philly cheesesteak sandwich, right?
Oh,
You want to have
so
an
good, especially
sandwich?
on game day, right?
Definitely.
This is always my go-to. So since these are 9 ounces, they are like very large portions. So maybe you have like a smaller appetite and you're like, oh my gosh, 9 ounces is too much. I'm never going to eat it. Cut your steak in half and do exactly what Ray's doing. Slice it up and use the leftovers the next day for a salad, for your own version of a Philly cheesesteak. You know what? Eat it with eggs for breakfast and like treat yourself to a really amazing breakfast. It's something that you wouldn't normally do.
Absolutely. There's just so many ways you can use this steak, Lauren, when you start with a Black Angus ribeye, right?
Exactly. So I have half of this ribeye right here, and I'm going to just like top it. And right, I have our amazing Egg Harbor crab dip from earlier in the show. I'm actually going to do the same thing again. I'm going to make a super decadent surf and turf plate here. I mean, this looks so good. I'm definitely eating this when we're done tonight.
It really does look good. So what did you do to the outside of that one? Is that a coffee rub?
So this is actually a blackened rub. So I just have some of our blackened seasoning. And I mixed in some of our Rastelli seasoning, of course, because it's a staple in my kitchen. And we did that, and I just pan sauteed it, threw it in with my vegetable, and I used some of our Egg Harbor dip here to just make it extra special.
Right.
So again, that is item number M806.